Alright, YouTubers, just want to send you a little video on my 89 Suzuki Samurai. This is my basement shop. I want to show you this fine paint job that some young guy put on there a long time ago, and I never got around to sanding it off. This one's got a spring over on it, 31 inch, 31 by 1050 tires. They're a little bit too big. For a street truck, this really needs to be 30 by 950. That's about as big as you can go and still make it turn. The neat thing about this one here is I put a 1.6 turbo diesel in this one here. It came out of a Volkswagen. I think this one came out of a Volkswagen Quantum. Thing's been completely overhauled. It's all brand new. I want to make a little video to show you guys this can be done. It makes a pretty good vehicle when you get done. The original motor, 1.3 piece of crap, had about 50 foot-pounds of torque. I don't know, maybe 42 horsepower or something like that. This one's got, man, I want to say 72 horsepower and 90 foot-pounds of torque. So you almost double the amount of torque, which doesn't help on the highway much, but it does help when you're off-road. Start over here on the battery side, and we'll just work our way over. Those battery cables came from an A3 Jetta, best cables in the world. When I say A3, I mean third generation of Jetta, from 91 to 98, somewhere in there. I don't know exactly what the year is. What makes me so neat, look at, you can hook up all kinds of extra stuff to them, and they bolt right on there. It's real nice. There's the positive side. One of those leads is for the glow plugs. You can see where it leads off there. That brown part is a fusible link, and it's not really taped together. That's a spade connector, and I just have it taped over to keep it from bouncing as something shorting out. The other one comes around here, this extra fuse panel. This extra fuse panel, the wire on the left there runs the starter clicky fix. There's the relay for the clicky fix. I'll tell you now, the Suzuki Samurai's got a big problem with the ignition switch handling enough current to close the relay on the starter. So you turn the switch over to start, and all you get is the starter solenoid clicking. Well, if you put a relay in there in the middle, that does away with the clicky problem altogether. You use the wire from the starter, or from the start position on the ignition switch, to close this relay. And once this relay closes, then the current flows. That's a 30 amp fuse there. You got 30 amps running through that number, I think that's number 10 wire, in through the relay, from the relay down to the starter. So that's the end of that problem. You never have clicky fix problem again after that. The other wires on that fuse blocks are for the fans. The two top fuses are for 20 amperes a piece. They run the two fans, and the one on the bottom is a 5 amp. That's the trigger. That protects the trigger for the relays. So we'll talk about that. That's the relay. That's the radiator out of a VW or an Audi, same thing, an Audi 80. Mid 80s, 86, 87, something like that. It's a little shorter than the Quantum, but it's a little taller. So you can see when it bolts in, I don't know if you can see underneath the relays at the bottom, these simply bolt in on either side. You don't have to beat up the fenders or smash anything or anything. All you got to do is just take, you can see it down there, just drill 2 holes in the fenders, drop it on there. So it's sitting on foam pads on the bottom, and then it's got these brackets I made here for the top. So it's pretty flexible. Lets the body flex without damaging the radiator. On there's 2 fans. I got a 12-inch fan and a 10-inch fan. That's all you have room for. Sometimes you can get these out of the boneyards for $10, but otherwise you can buy them from the auto parts place. They're about $60 a piece. Those 2 are triggered by the factory the 3-speed or 2-speed factory water switch down there. As the temperature comes up to 85 degrees, it triggers one of these relays and drives one fan. When it reaches 93, I think, a second relay will close and it'll run both fans. And it runs that way until it's cooled back off. It's never come close to overheating. So even in the middle of summertime, uphill, off-road, it never has gotten hot. One of the problems you're going to have when you go in here, first of all, the kit to put this in here came from Acme adapters. I looked at all of them, even made my own. The one from Acme is a lot better. I don't know if you can even see, you'd be hard pressed to see where the adapter plate is there on the back of the block between the transmission and the engine block. That plate must be exactly correct. If it's not, nothing else will work on the deal. So get the kit from Acme. You won't be disappointed. I got the kit that included the plate and the motor mounts. You can kind of see them down there. I don't know, I might get the drop light and you can see them a lot better. But the motor mounts and some other stuff, it works great. This, I used the down pipe off the turbo. Acme sells a header pipe that probably will build a little more horsepower. This one's probably got more restriction than the header pipe that they sell. There's the probe for the EGT. It runs around inside the cabin there. It's got a little amplifier. I'll show you the gauge there in a minute. I put my probes downstream of the turbo. I'm an airplane mechanic, and all airplanes and all heavy equipment do it the same way. The gauge inside the cockpit is calibrated for downstream installation. You can get them upstream. If you do, you mount them in the exhaust manifold there on the other side. But before you do that, think about this. That probe costs about 12 bucks. That turbo costs 450 bucks. So if it overheats and fails and runs through the turbo, in a car it just costs you 450 bucks for another turbo plus labor. I prefer to do things once. In an aircraft, it means you lost the engine, which means you might have lost a whole bunch of people's lives. So they don't do it in aviation ever. Heavy machinery, they don't do it either because turbos are too expensive. So if you want the most accurate reading, go for it, man. Put it up there and buy all the turbos you want. There's the stock wastegate. This one's still set to 10 psi. I haven't turned it up. So I know you can, but I just haven't done it yet. The hoses in the back, when you go to mate the Volkswagen engine with the Suzuki chassis, you're going to have to mix and match stuff here to get it to mount together. Now this hose here is a standard Samurai hose. This one here is also the same exact hose. I just cut it off. It's brand new. These are both new. And in between this is a 1/2 inch by 3/4 adapter. I just got that down at Lowe's or Home Depot. And that one hose right there is the original one that comes on a Volkswagen Rabbit. It comes off the head. They call it the Sherlock Holmes pipe. These are all new hoses, by the way. And that one there is just a Gates hose I found out of the bin that makes that corner. It's a 1/2 inch hose that makes a really tight corner I needed to get around there. You can see the sender on the back. That's for the oil. Let's see here. That's the oil pressure for the oil pressure gauge inside. There's a stock VW one. Below that, on the back of the head, you can see where the water neck is. You can see this blue wire has been disconnected. This is the temperature input for the glow plug relay. In the winter time, I just leave it disconnected. In the summertime, I hook it back up. The reason I leave it disconnected in the winter time is so that I get the glow plugs for as long as I want every start. So it's a lot cheaper to buy glow plugs than it is starters. So I just disconnect and run it. More about glow plugs. That'll have to be a separate video. That's too much for one video. This, you can see the starter down here. It's out of a Geo tracker with an automatic transmission. It's got plenty of torque to start this diesel engine. I'll show you that here in a minute. I use the stock Suzuki alternator. I find it's got plenty of power for what I want to do. If you got a lot of lights or a big winch or something, dual batteries and all that, you might want to go to a GM. This one here works great. The air intake pipe on this one is out of a Mazda Protege, a late model one. It works perfect. I had 3 or 4 or 5 different kind of systems in here. This is the best one I've come up with so far. I really don't like having this open element, but it's up high enough I don't think it'll get any water in it. I don't plan on fording any water all that deep. It's pretty simple, no restriction. It made a big difference on how much boost we build. That was where the pop-off valve used to be. Diesels don't use them, so I took them off. Anyway, we'll pick back up here on the second video, and I appreciate you guys watching. Hope this answers some questions for you.